Alright, now that finally today the last of the parts come in for the gray truck, you can see the intake and everything's off. We pulled the cam out, or not the cam out, the lifter's out, cam's still in it, pan's still on it and everything. I didn't want to tear the bottom of it apart till we got everything here. I didn't want it completely open sitting here. I've got trash bags, a beach towel, and a moving blanket over the top of it. But the rest of it came today. I had to wait about, I don't know, almost 3 weeks to get the cam from Howard's. It's a hydraulic roller. The one that was in it was a comp. The number one exhaust valve lifter, the wheel, the pin come out. Don't know how, but it come out. Lost the roller. I'm assuming it's in the pan. Hope it's in the pan. But I would assume it's down in the pan. That lobe's chewed up. There's no saving the cam. So the nothing the engine builder did or anybody did. It's just one of the things that happens. And really nothing against comp cams. I've used their stuff and I've never had an issue with it. Never used the hydraulic, none of the roller stuff. I've used a lot of the flat tappet stuff through the years, but anyway, one of my favorite cams, Comp's got the 280H Magnum. I've used it in quite a few little small blocks, but nonetheless, I went back with a Howard's. I went with a cam that I've also used before. I like it. It'll work really well with this setup. It's more cam than what was in it. Quite a bit more, but also with this engine, you know, the heads, pistons, and everything, I know what I got and I know how much lift I can get away with. The heads are good to 600 before coil buying. So, because when we put these heads, I didn't buy these out of the box from Flowtech. We bought the bearers and built them. But it won't be as timid as the one that was in it. The one that was in it more or less had like a stock idle RV cam. This one's got more lift, more duration. It's a 110 lobe separation rather than a 114. Some of the other things we're going to change. At the time, we can only get a stock oil pump, so it's got an M55 milling in it. That's going to change. I have got a milling high volume and a new pickup tube for it. I had these, they're going on it, they're Proform. I'll get some other stuff here and show you. These are the rockers that I had on it. They're a Elgin Black Ice. They're just a fancy named stamped steel rocker. But problem is right here, and it's hard to see, but you can see if you can see it in the bit, there's a couple marks right here. That's where they were hitting the valve spring and the retainer. They're not going back on. What's going on is these roller rockers from Summit, 280 a set. These is what I would say is probably the best rocker Summit makes. I've used these, I don't know, half a dozen times through the years. Always had success with them, never had an issue with them. Roller bearing up here, of course roller bearing in the fulcrum. Now, when you use a stud girdle, you need to make sure that the slot in here will accommodate your poly locks, because the ones for stud girdle are bigger. Of course, they're taller. These are the ones that came with the Proform. Okay. Now, what I had to do to these to use them before is bevel them to use, because I had using these with a Proform rocker, but without the bevel, which the flat part come clear down to that line right there. Okay. This big part come all the way down, squared off shoulder. Problem was it wouldn't go down in here, and you had a minor clearance issue. Rather than grind on a $300 set of rockers and take away from the strength of the rocker, I just bevel the poly lock. You're not hurting them, you're not taking anything away from them. There's still plenty of room to clamp the stud girdle down, but what it does when you bevel it, as you can see where that line's at, that line hits right there. That's where the big portion would have been to square it off, like up here on the top. Just bevel them, chamfer them, whatever you want to call it. Now they'll clear everything. There's not an issue. I can use them and put the stud girdles on it. And I'm doing it because this cam, like I said, is quite a bit more lift than what was in it. The one that was in it, like I said, was basically pretty timid. Just RV cam, nothing special. But the one that's going in it, it's got some meat to it. So, and it'll let this engine actually operate at its potential rather than having a little bitty tiny bump stick in it. But that's what I'm going to use. These rockers, like I said, 280 a set. And then beveling those so they'll clear without hitting. And of course the rockers come with poly locks, but you can see the difference between the two. See? And even the squared off part of this, although those are 9/16, these are 5/8, it's still not as big as the shouldered part. So all the push rods are good. I've got a small block, small block cast aluminum comp cams, valve covers, the black ones with the etching, the logo etched out silver or whatever. They're going back on it because the steel ones where the lip comes all out the gasket surface, and it turns out, and you got that little lip to help it center it on the head. Instead of being like this, they're like this, and they're assault racing. And when you go to put them down, it pushes out, and they kept seeping at the back corners. So I'm just going to put these other valve covers on it. I've had them. I figured I might as well use them. I don't know who makes them now, but these are Anson, made in California. But them things are like astronomically expensive now. I think you're going to give $200 plus for a set of them. I never paid that for them. I've had them for quite a number of years just put up. So they're going on it. I'll get the cam all lubed up, put it in. I'm going to soak the lifters. I always soak my lifters. I don't care what you say. I clean them up with acetone, then I soak them in oil for 24 hours. I'll put them in it. Run the firing order on the rockers so everything's on the base circle. Set them at half a turn, although Howard's has this funky way they want you to set by so many hundred thousandths, and they'll give you a chart that says iron block aluminum head, iron block iron head, aluminum block aluminum head, 3/8 stud, 7/16 stud, how much you yield per one turn of the nut, how many hundred thousandths you get out of it, and they tell you that's all how they want to do it. And it has a braking procedure as well. But what I do is, like I said, lube it all up, put it in there, soak the lifters, put it all together, run the firing order, half a turn lash. Okay, it's what I run on the same cam before with no issue. Then I'll prime the oil pump, but as I prime the oil pump, I'll take the spark plugs out, and I got a big long ratchet. I will stand here and turn the motor over by hand. About 5 or 6 complete 2 revolutions, 5 or 6 times, till there's oil pouring out all the rockers. Once that's all done, I'll put everything back together and we'll light it off. But and then of course setting the oil pump clearance to the pan, I go at 3/8 of an inch. I don't do a half, that's too far away from me. A 1/4 inch is too close. I set it at 3/8 of an inch. With this already having the pump and everything in it, I'll put a square edge across the pickup down there where the mesh is exposed, not the part where it's shrouded. I'll put a straight edge across it, measure from the gasket down, not the edge of the block, but from the gasket, because you're going to have your gasket in there too. So the pan will be from the gasket down, not from the block down. Measure down, see what it is, put the new one on, put the tube up in there, start it in there, get it set, mark it with a paint pen, and I'll scribe it with a scribe pointer. take it back out, put the pickup tube in the freezer overnight, help shrink it, because you got about a 6/1000 interference fit on these. Slide it in there where it's supposed to be, and before I tack weld it, I will clamp the old pump, face it like it would to the motor on the bench, and the new one, put a straight edge across it, put a level on it, get them both where they're the same, so you know they're the same, and then at that point I'll tack weld it. So, and as far as pushing it in, when you put it in the freezer, it makes it a lot easier. It helps shrink it down a little bit, and you can put it up there, and you don't take the chance of ruining the tube, beating it in. I've got the tool to put them in with, but I've used an opening wrench in the past and everything else to put them in with. So that's about the size of what's going on with this. Now I will tell you, the hood's painted and cleared, the grill's painted and cleared, back bumper's painted and cleared. I'm going to take the tube steps off and scuff them, paint them black and clear them, because the paint on them will fade to shit within 30 days out in the sun. And they're more or less just exhaust tubing bent with brackets that bolt under your cab to step on. Let's see, and that's it. The rest of it came today, everything I need. So this weekend, my son helping me, we'll tear it the rest of the way down, pull the radiator out, pull the cam out, drain the oil, take the pan off, get everything switched out, and I am not going to be in any hurry to get it done. I mean, we'll stay steady on it. I'm not going to work a little bit and a little bit the next day. We'll stay on it till we get it done, but I'm not going to rush it. When you rush shit, you make mistakes. So, but as far as running the rockers, that's just the way I've always done it. It takes more time to run 1-8-6, 1-8-4-3-6-5-7-2, but you make sure the lifter's all the way down on the base circle. I ain't real fond. I've done it before in a pinch to get something back together so it could race the 2-turn, quarter-turn at a time method, but always did on a big block Chevy. I never done on a small block, so I don't know. Buddy tried it and he said all of the rockers on the passenger side really didn't have any slack in them, and then when he got done, he had 2 rockers that were like super loose after he run it. So, I don't know. I just do it the way I do it. So there's a few times I've done number 1, run half of them, rolled up on number 6, do the other half, and not had any issues. But as far as soaking lifters, the one time I didn't soak them, I had issues. It was on flat tappet cam, but I had issues with it. Had to go back, and we had problems. And matter of fact, we ended up replacing the cam and lifters because of it. I just soak them. That's the way I've always done it. A lot of cam manufacturers will tell you to do it. So you do what they tell you, but regardless, like I said, I clean them up with acetone, and I soak them in oil in a buttered bowl or something over for 24 hours overnight, and then put them in. So, because if you think about it, when you set the preload on a lifter and it's dry, there's nothing in there, nothing at all. So, and if you ever take an engine apart for some reason, and then you put it back together and you don't touch the cam and lifters, but you got to take push rods or rockers off, say you're switching from stamped steel to rollers, the lifters are pumped up anyway. You're still putting a half a turn preload on, but it's better to have something in there as a buffer than nothing, you know. So again, it's just something I do, and it's always worked, so I stay with it. But the S10, hopefully I might be able to get it out this weekend, since I'm not busy doing things for everybody else, and I'm just going to start telling people no. Get it out, have a little fun with it, get you guys some video of it. Everything's done to it but the cage, so it's good to go. Just don't get stupid. I ain't going to anyway. I'm on city streets and shit with it, but might be a possibility I can take it out on a piece of private property and get after it a little bit, if I can get away to do it, which means putting it on the trailer, hauling it out or unloading it and doing all that. So we'll see what goes on, but we'll film this as we're working. I might even try to go live on YouTube while we're doing it and see what happens. So, first time for doing that, but it is what it is. I'm ready to get this damn thing put together. Like, there's the intake carburetor sitting right there. I did get the steering stabilizer shocks on. Got that done. Oop, get my finger out of the damn way. That's all done. I gotta take the driver's door back apart because the lock cylinder, the clip popped off. When I put the key in, went right in there, and the key slipped out, and then it fell out completely, so I can't reach it to pull it back in. And then when it did that, it knocked the rod out that controls the outside door handle, I'm assuming, because now it won't open from the outside. So, which sucks because all that shit's AC Delco shit. So, anyhow, we'll fix that. Get the motor put together, get it running right, dialed in, get the hood on it, get the grill in it, the lights in it, and then we'll go from there. So, hang around. You'll get to see all of it. So, sorry it took 3 weeks to do anything or show anything. It's still ain't back together, but waiting on parts. And then I was sick for damn near 2 weeks with a upper respiratory infection. I was bad. I lost my voice. My throat was sore as hell. Blowing shit out, coughing shit out. So, had to get that cleared up. So anyway, everybody stay safe. God bless. And when I get out here this weekend, you'll get to see us do all this and put this nice new beautiful camshaft and lifters in this thing. Till then, later.